in respect for our guest, Lee, I just want to show you really quickly that our payout system is encompassed on three areas, really two main areas. One area is to take all of the crypto that's on all of our nodes, let's say Bitcoin Lightning, and move them off the nodes onto the block. And from the block, they need to get into the customer wallets. And from there, we need to decide if they're going to go into, it's going to be paid in Bitcoin, or we're going to diversify, or we're going to continue to mine an existing coin. And you'll see that on the website, when you log in, if you are a part of block number 2, you're going to be able to see in here the 4 different options. You're going to see, hey, I want to withdraw everything into Bitcoin, or I want to diversify into Bitcoin Green, or I want to diversify in stipend, or for the purpose of this call, I really want to encourage everybody to stay in Bitcoin Lightning, and we're going to get into that later. But if you are in block number 2, we're highly encouraging that you continue to mine in Bitcoin Lightning, and we'll tell you why. So if you click this right here, it'll automatically update your settings. On the back end, just real briefly, again, 3 minutes just to show you. First thing we do is we have a robot that goes and it checks all of our servers. Make sure the server's up, make sure it's running, make sure that it's active, make sure the node is mining. Then we queue it into our queue system. We sweep all the coins from the block into the node. Every single one of our sweepers has a complementary script per coin. Bitcoin Lightning has its own script that literally pertains just to that coin to sweep the coins from the nodes in the block into the appropriate place. Then we have a sweeper for the customer, i.e. the customer needs to get paid. It's a little deeper than that. Every time we swipe coins, or every time we sweep coins from a node into another wallet address, we have to make certain that there's 30 confirmations. If there's not 30 confirmations, sometimes there's problems. Once all the confirmations are there, then we actually pay the customer. Here's more code here just for the payout. This right here, just to give you a little bird's eye view, this is like 570 lines of code just for this file here. Each payer has a coin specific. This is for Bitcoin Lightning. And once every transactions are cleared, then they will actually be swept into the account. Now, again, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. This is the part 1 of our system. Part 2 is going to be a bot that Anthony is currently perfecting. Anthony and I are both working on that. The bot essentially is going to take all of the coins out of our platform. It's going to move it into the exchange. It's going to sit there for 1 to 5 days and find the right time to buy and sell. And then it's going to move those coins back into our platform. Eventually, that's going to replace one of Herb's many, many, many tasks. He's very happy for us to replace him on that. It's a very tedious, time-consuming job. I think we're going to be able to, I know we're going to do a lot better for our customers by utilizing a hybrid between human and bot to trade. That's the second aspect of it. The third aspect is going to be once the money comes, or the coins come back from the exchange, then from there we have a whole another array of robots that essentially move the coins into a new block, for example. So again, I tried to keep this little segment to 15 minutes on an upgrade. I actually did it in 5 to 7 minutes, I think. So let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I want to cover a new website. I wanted to let you know we reached and we finished phase 3 of our development cycle on a roadmap. I announced we're not going to do an MLM anymore for our comp plan. We're going to have a meeting on that on Monday. Please join us 6 o'clock on Monday for a meeting strictly on that. And then I wanted to demo the first part of our payout rollover system. And I want to introduce Lee now. And then at the end of this conversation, I want to leave 15 minutes to a half hour for questions. If you could please keep the questions very specific and very topic oriented. I'd prefer if the questions were strictly for Lee from Block Logic, formerly known as Bitcoin Lightning, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions as well. Before I introduce Lee, let me just let you know our schedule. Tomorrow and Wednesday, if you have anybody new, we're going to do a newbie webinar to explain who we are, what we do. On Thursday, we're inviting Bitcoin Green's team, three of the core development team, the founders are going to join us on Thursday to talk about developments with Bitcoin Green. And again, like I said, on Monday, we're going to talk strictly about the comp plan and the payout system with the existing investors. So, I'm very proud to introduce Lee. Can you please unmute Lee?
I think I am.
All right. Finally, pleasure to meet you, Lee, in person. We've talked a few times on both on instant message through the forum, as well as you graciously offered for me to join your committee, and I joined your meeting here on Sunday, and many more meetings to come. Let me just introduce Lee. I have his bio in front of me. He's 45 years old. He sold intellectual property to Microsoft during the dot-com boom. He wanted to become an attorney in the intellectual property arena, and then he's semi-retired. He's been a consultant to many companies, including a blockchain startup, worked in a career in technical education to bring young adults entrepreneurial guidance. He was named Master Teacher in 2014 and certified nationally as economics education. He and his family are now in New Jersey and have lived and worked in New York City for decades. He currently resides full-time in Las Vegas, Nevada, and part-time in New York City. He's looking forward to being part of the new venture. And he also has a Bachelor's of Business Management from New Jersey State University, a Juris Doctor in Law at Rutgers Law University, with emphasis in technology, intellectual property, and also has a MED in behaviorism in Arizona State University. So, sorry I dropped my phone. But Lee, I'd love to just turn it over to you at this point.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. It's a real pleasure. David, it's been great getting to know you and getting to know your organization. I would say probably starting back in April, I've started working with Bitcoin Lightning, probably the same way you are, trying to protect your investment. I had a pretty substantial investment in it, about 150,000 coins, which has grown substantially since then. And I got involved with it. I was shocked to find the developers were really in a very stagnant position. The community wasn't happy with them. So I reached out to the developer and I said, what are we doing here? And we had a great conversation. I didn't ask much from him. I just said, tell me your side of the situation. And he opened up. He said, some people were buying this between $6 and $13. There's so much anger out there. And we really don't have a way forward. So I suggested he start a community committee, get some people who are active in there and find out what the community wanted, how we could go forward as a community and find some opportunity. So we started speaking for a month and it did not go well. The committee worked really hard. We came up with many ideas, but whatever we presented to them, they kind of, brushed them off. They said, hey, great idea. Let us get back to you. A week or two would go by, nothing would happen. So I recently relocated from New York City to Las Vegas, and I was literally driving across the country, and I was out of contact, and I got to a hotel finally, and I got a message from one of the group members saying, you got to get on here. You can't believe what's happening. So I got on. This is probably the end of June, and it turned out that the devs just decided to hand over Bitcoin Lightning to the committee. I was really shocked at this. I was shocked that the dev that I was talking to didn't reach out to me first. We kind of handed the reins over to the committee, and I was elected a treasurer. I had no idea about any of this. And, frankly, at the beginning, I never intended to get this involved with Bitcoin Lightning. I was kind of just doing it as, I'm trying to pick my investment. Maybe I can kick the developer's butt a little bit to get to do something. So July 1st comes, and it turns out the committee is now in charge of Bitcoin Lightning. So that's where we are right now. The committee is doing an amazing job. We found 2 developers who are interested in working with the team. Rick is out of the UK. He's a successful entrepreneur. Chris is out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's a great kid. They've both been working hard. We're moving the code base from from the current one to PivX. So there's a lot of great activity going on. The community is rallying behind us. They're trying to find opportunities. But on the flip side, there's still a lot of work to be done. We're much a coin with a lot of different people working it. I'm trying to work through a lot of the structural problems. But be that said, we have a lot of benefits, and the benefits being we have a very large community, we have some very decent name recognition, and we've got some great contacts. So through the committee, we've been asking everybody, what can we do to get this coin to adoption? Because in my opinion, adoption is the most critical thing we can do for a coin to get the price to rise. So there's a lot of great ideas on the table. So that's where we are right now. There's a core group of us. Is the two devs, myself and Jarrett, who's a Microsoft Azure programmer out of Australia. I consider that to be the core team, and that team is very, very strong. We've been working very, very well together. So that is going very well. So let me continue with why I am really interested in this. Over the past 2 months, I've been developing a technology based on IPFS. And if you don't know what that is, it's a really, really exciting technology. It's interplanetary file system. It's basically a blockchain-based file system for planets where you could use over the planet. It has a lot of the same features as blockchain, has redundancy, privacy, all the great things we know about blockchain, but it actually stores data.
Lee,
go ahead.
Do you mind if I give a real-life example for people to use?
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to actually share my screen because I wanted to show everybody real briefly what the IPFS is. And just because I didn't want to brush across that too fast. It's such an important aspect of it. People see my screen? You see my screen, Lee?
Yes.
Yeah. I encourage people to really take a look at the Wikipedia and see what exactly this is. And I'm going to give a real-life example. If anybody is in Europe or follows politics in Europe, they'll know that there's a region in Spain called Catalina, and they wanted to take control of their own destiny. They wanted to break away from Spain. Well, Spain came down on them and says, no, you're not leaving our country. And so what happened was they blocked their website, they pushed them offline, and they went and they wreaked havoc on the movement. So what they did was they moved to the IPFS system, and it allowed them from a peer-to-peer network to be able to continue on with their business. Now, I use this example because I strongly believe that eventually there will be, I don't want to call it a war, I would call it more of a tug of war between the old world and the future world, where there's going to be a movement to try to block everything blockchain. So in my opinion, everything is going to move to this IPFS format because it's truly a very decentralized protocol that there's no point of failure. And if you truly want to be able to distribute data evenly across the planet that cannot be taken down, that'll outlive tyrants, this is truly where it's at. So I feel like it really puts BlockLogic in a very good position. They're poised in a very good position for the future. So I just wanted to jump in on that one just from a technology standpoint of what that really means and what it meant to me. So go ahead.
I agree. And what I'd like to add to that would be there's a lot of talk about storing data on a blockchain. And some companies are moving towards that. You have Polymath is one of my favorite larger altcoins. They're going to start storing a certain amount of data on the blockchain. But when you start thinking about storing data on a blockchain, there's a lot of issues with it. And I'm sure David could explain this further because he's got a lot of technical background. But when you look at the block size, in order to actually store data on it, you have to increase the block size. So storing a small amount of smart contract data or transactional data is relatively simple. You have a greater problem when you wanted to store someone's YouTube file or a video file. And that is where IPFS comes in, and it also is how it's going to tie to the master node coins. And I think this is where I want to go with it. The master node coins do not have any ability at all to store data. And if you look at the promise of blockchain, it's about being able to have data that will last forever, just like David said. It's a tyrant can't come along and take this data away. So what we want to be able to do with the IPFSs is be able to give master nodes the ability to store data on IPFS. I'm working with another coin, intermodal coin, and they are doing shipping containers, shipping container tracking, shipping container sales between carriers and shippers, etc. So they have their own coin, and I started working with them. I kept asking them, what are you going to use this coin for? And they kept telling me they're going to use it on their platform to do transactions. So a carrier is going to pay, a shipper is going to pay a carrier over the platform. And I said, are you kidding me? There's nobody on this planet going to give you real fiat to store it in your intermodal coin that has volatility of 20, 30% a day. No one in the world is going to do that. So you really have to start looking at how in the world you're going to use your coin on this platform. So I presented the idea of, if you look at a platform, let's say you have a website that is going to deal with tracking shipments. There's a lot of information that's going to go back and forth between the carrier and the shipper, starting from the first initial contact being, hey, I'm a shipper, I need to ship 1 million oranges from point A to point B. So there's the initial transaction. There are going to be hundreds of contacts, transfers of documents over and over again to handle this entire transaction. So my concept is, what you would do is every transaction, so let's say you have the shipper who's A and the carrier who's B. A sends to B any type of transaction. It could be a request, it could be a document. You will charge in the master node currency a small fee for that transaction. It could be 0.00001, a millionth of a coin. But a small fee will be charged on every single transaction. Then using a IPFS database, a decentralized database, the transaction key, so every time you send a coin from A to B, you're going to generate a transaction hash. Using that transaction hash as the key on the table. And I don't know how familiar everybody is with databases. I love databases, but what it does is, by using the transaction hash, it allows me to store all the information going from A to B or B to A on the decentralized database. And the key to the database is the transaction hash generated from the currency being transacted. So now what you could do is build a transaction explorer for your currency and basically go through each of the transaction hashes and tie that back to the database. Does that make sense?
Well, Lee, let me try to bring this to a top level view and just dumb it down, because I think the average person on here is relatively new to blockchain, relatively new to technology. And so
okay, I'm sorry about that.
No. First off, that was a phenomenal explanation. I don't think I could even come close to that. That was beautiful, the way you did that. But let me just try to simplify.
Sure.
Let's say you have a shipping company, like he said, and quite simply, you need a couple factors involved. You need to have a contract, i.e. a smart contract. You need to trade data. Obviously, there's a shipment involved. You need to know how many containers, you know what boat, you have there's timestamps. There's all the things that pertain to that. There's much more that pertains to that shipment than an exchange of value or money. There's a whole inventory that goes with it. So what Lee is saying,
the legal contract, there's a ton of stuff going on here.
Ton of stuff. Now, in order to do that in the fiat world, you've got a mess of different software applications and programs, and every company has a different this, that, blah, blah, blah. And then on top of it, you have all these different currencies across the planet. Do I pay in US dollar? Do I want to pay in a euro? You know, so there's a lot of complexity with that. So what block logic can do is be the backbone or the underlying layer, for example, intermodal, which is another coin that wants to be able to transact in shipping containers. Now, that's just one example. I can go down a list of probably 40, 50, maybe 100 different industries that can also use that. And what my opinion is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lee, but I think the other value of this is that you don't need to be using 5 or 6 different coins, i.e., well, hey, I'll pay in Bitcoin and I'll do a smart contract in Ethereum, and then I'll go ahead and I'll handle your database in a different coin. Essentially what, and correct me if I'm wrong here, my understanding is going to be that the underlying layer handles all the logic, i.e. block logic. Is that true?
Yes. So the beauty of the system is the number one issue with all these masternode coins is nobody, and you have to face this fact, nobody is going to go and buy Bitcoin, go to a small crypto exchange, convert the Bitcoin to their currency, then go to the portal and then interact. It's just not going to happen. If someone wants to buy something, they want to buy it right now. And the Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, those are the currencies that are going to be used in most transactions. So you need to make your master node currency useful for something. And the way to do that is to tie it together with the transactions. So now the person using your system can use Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. They can even use fiat, because the only thing they're using the master node coin for is to track the transaction costs. So now what will happen is, and this is really difficult to understand and explain, and I've had a ton of difficulty doing this because it's kind of backwards. But what the master node coin will do is intermodal coin will provide a platform. The company is going to pay for access to that platform in fiat, Bitcoin, whatever they want to pay in. They will receive a nominal amount, maybe just one intermodal coin. That intermodal coin will be used for all transactions. Now, the beauty of this system is when the company pays for access, they're going to pay in fiat or Bitcoin. The masternode portal will use the fiat or Bitcoin to pay for office fees, marketing, and all the other expenses associated with running a business. But here's the beauty of it. The masternode coin will take the profit from the portal and go back to the exchange themselves to repurchase the coin at their price level. So instead of the masternode currency being at the mercy of the market, the masternode currency will be the buyers, will constantly be buying back their own coin from the profits derived from the portal of the website. Now, I know it's a really difficult concept to understand, but once you understand the beauty of the circular logic of it all, you can see how the masternode coins become self-supporting and they become useful, because now that masternode transaction key is the exact key to get access to all the data relating to a single or group of transactions. And to gain access to the system, the masternode organization is now receiving fiat or higher end crypto to fund their operations, and flipping it all around, they get to now buy back their currency on the open market for prices that they believe should support the growth of the coin. Does that make sense?
I think we need a graphic.
Okay, so I'm working on that. It's a very tough one to understand, and eventually you get to it. It took me literally 4 or 5 hours of intermodal coin trying to explain this to them. But I will get that to you. But this is the beauty of the system. This is what we've been working on the past 2 weeks. And just to bring it down for a second, I've been working on this for about 2 months, and I was in the process of patenting it. And I am still in the process of doing that. And I was going to start my own coin with the 2 developers that I spoke of before. And what we basically did was we sat around and said, do we start our own coin, or do we take, fate by the horns here and realize we just got handed something with a large community, a community that's supportive, and do we use this technology right here, right now? And I'm in a situation in my life that I want to do it, and I'm going to basically finish getting the patent. That's what I've been working on right now. So I don't really want to put too much information out there or too many graphics out there because they're part of the patent. It should have been filed yesterday. It's going to be filed imminently. And then at that point, we're going to use this technology to build what I'm saying. And then we're going to take this technology and market it to other masternode coins. Because I've been in a number of articles. I think David might give you a link to an article I just wrote about masternode coins. The problem with masternode coins, in my opinion, is that you get these guys who are really, excited about doing a project. They got a great theme behind the project. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but it's extremely easy to fork one of these coins. It's shockingly easy. You get a good graphic designer, you know how to cut and paste some text, and you have your own coin. The problem comes is they get really excited about the project. They get really excited about the technology. the coin goes live, they get it listed on an exchange. I don't know if you know this, but it costs about 1 to 2 Bitcoin to get listed on a decent exchange, less than that for a crappy exchange. They get a lot of hype, people get into it, and then comes the time to deliver. It's like, okay, you're going to do X, you're going to do this thing. Well, how are you going to do it? You know, what technology, what capability do you have to actually do this? And the answer most of the time is they don't. And that's exactly what happened to Bitcoin Lightning. Whenever we went to them with an idea, they were like, great idea, but we can't do it. Great idea, but we can't do it. And just from looking at David's code, you guys are very fortunate to have him on your team. He's got some amazing technology there. And when we get off this call, I'm going to talk to him more about what we're doing and see if he wants to help out with some of these technology ideas. But not only did the technology I was just talking about apply to master node coins, it applies to any coin that doesn't have smart contract capabilities. And there's a lot of them out there still floating around. So we have a very interesting technology that we can market to all these master node coins that gives their coin a purpose. And it allows them to tie their coin to the IPFS and then allows them to start interacting with data. And if you look at, you know, a great example of this is BitTube. BitTube is currently using IPFS for a YouTube recreation. So if you look at their model, it's something similar to that, but what they are not doing, they're not going back to the market to buy back their coin to support price. And that's what's interesting about the model that I'm trying to develop. It gives the master node control over their price rather than being at the mercy of the market, and it stops dumping.
So let me try to scale it back a little bit and just try to come back to home base real quick. So essentially, first off, the reason why you and I saw eye to eye when we first met is we both agree that if you're going to, first off, there's way too many coins out there. Exactly what you said. You know, there's thousands of coins at this point, and quite frankly, I've said this time and time again, I'm done with just yet another coin. I want, first off, you need to come to the table with something that's either going to help humanity or it's going to help our planet. Otherwise, or it has a useful purpose. The second thing is you've got to have a useful, a strong, close-knit core team of developers, a very good community, and you need to be out in the public, i.e. doing what we're doing right here, webinars constantly, doing YouTube videos. I don't want to deal with people that are in the shadows. People need to be stand proud. I'm doing crypto. This is the new economy. This is the new technology. Stand behind it and be proud. The other thing is that we need to have a very intelligent roadmap, a very good website, but more importantly, the most important thing is the usage. You have to have real world usage. Now, we talked about BitPay, BitPlay. You want to expand upon the actual those aspects of the usage?
Sure. So every one of these coins is going to tell you that they're going to use their coin for commerce, or they're going to use their coin for gaming. And again, they're just a currency. They have no capability other than transacting currency. So a great example of this is Dixie Coin. I don't know if you know about them, but they're a great little project, and they created a portal where you can buy and sell video games. It's a great idea. The problem is they will only accept the Dixie Coin currency. No one's going to, the average kid or adult who wants to buy a video game is not going to go and try to find Dixie Coin or convert their fiat to Dixie Coin before making that purchase. So what we're trying to do is give it a reason. So I went to this idea with Dixie Coin, and literally I could not explain it to them. I was trying really hard to explain it to them, but they didn't understand the concept. And the concept would be is when you buy a video game, there's a key generated, some kind of key that allows you to type in, you know, I legitimately bought this video game. Well, that key has to be stored somewhere. And right now it's stored on a centralized database. That is not what blockchain is about. Blockchain is about decentralization. When you get that key should be available to you the rest of your life if you have your key to access that information. Well, if Dixie Coin goes out of business tomorrow, you would lose all the information attached to Dixie Coin. This would alleviate that, and it would give purpose to every one of these coins. So another coin that I was working with for a very, very short time was HeraCoin. They were working in the area of bringing women into blockchain. Again, you know, they wanted to store women's resumes on a centralized database. Well, that's not the promise of blockchain. So this technology brings the promise of blockchain to every one of these master node coins who are just simply cryptocurrency. So we are planning to market this technology. So if they want to open up a payment site, if they want to open up whatever it is, a payment, if they want to do a gaming site, purchase stuff, we can provide for them the back end that allows them to transact these transactions and keep the data stored somewhere that does fulfill the promise of blockchain.
You know, it is really exciting, and here's why. I always find that the most successful industries, if you look around, has always been the underlying technologies. Let's go way back to, you know, the Industrial Revolution and the railroads. You know, the railroads, they didn't care about the passenger, how many passengers came and go, whatever. They were just, the tracks were in place. And then the telecoms come out. You've got AT&T, Verizon, etc. They don't care where you go on the web. You can go to Google, you can watch YouTube, you can watch Netflix. It doesn't make a difference to them. They want to make that $40 a month for your subscription. And it's based on millions of people paying $40 a month. So what you're saying is block logic is going to be kind of the backbone or the underlying layer technology for all these other coins. It's essentially kind of what we do. Just to kind of backtrack to simplify what we do, we're kind of the bridge between emerging technologies, such as yourself with block logic, and the average investor who maybe doesn't understand the technology, doesn't understand blockchain yet, doesn't know how to do a node. And our job is to be that bridge to bring an audience to coins such as yourself that people would maybe have no idea or no clue before, and also assist the common investor. So kind of with that said, I kind of want to backtrack to, let's just say, use Block 2 for an example. Now, Block 2, we started with 18 nodes with Bitcoin Lightning. Now, we did our job. In 90 days, we've tripled the amount of nodes. Went from 18 nodes, it's going to be up to 53, I think, today or tomorrow. We're going to do 54 probably by tomorrow, the next day. So we've tripled the amount of nodes. And, but with that said, it doesn't matter how many times we double or triple, quadruple the amount of nodes of the Coinbase if the coin doesn't have value. So that's why I'm fully committed to be working with you, Lee, working with the team. Thank you so much for inviting me and allowing me to join your team, because now there's going to be that other side of it of helping you, because you know, you guys are the underlying technologies for all the different cryptos, and we essentially work the same way. We're the underlying technology for these coins, in a sense, for mining and being a bridge for the end user.
I think what's also interesting is that the idea also incorporates, you know, when you set up a masternode coin, you're setting up these servers all over the place. But why not also install an IPFS node next to your masternode server and earn passive income that way as well? So that's another area that we're going to be probably a first in. And I know you know a lot about setting up master nodes. So why not throw an IPFS node on there? A lot of the capability of your server just sits there and spin. So we're going to add that capability as well, and hopefully, you know, earn income on that as well. But I'm really impressed with what you guys are doing. You got some really awesome systems there. I would love to learn more, and I definitely would like to work with you. And maybe, you know, we can work with your organization, because there's a lot of build out that still needs to get done. Over the next 2 months, about 6 weeks, we're going to be working on the swap. Then after that, it'll be rolling out these technologies. So I would love to work with you. Thank you so much for having me here today, and I'd love to answer any questions if you have them.
Let's talk for just 5 minutes, and let's start taking some questions, because I really want to get to the nitty gritty of, I want to let everybody know on this call that's an investor that now's the time for the transition. And again, we have a couple choices. You can continue to mine in Bitcoin, in Block Logic, or you can cash out in the Bitcoin, or you can diversify. I strongly believe you stay in Block Logic for a number of reasons. Let's just start with a very basic fundamental reason. Unfortunately, the value of Bitcoin Lightning has crashed. And in order to take coins to the marketplace and sell them in the open market, essentially what's going to happen is we're going to flood the market with a tremendous amount of coins that there isn't a lot of volume, and it's going to crash the value further. we, just to use real numbers, we've already mined a couple 100,000 coins just in block 2. That doesn't include block 4, doesn't include our own holdings. We're well close to, put it this way, we have a very significant investment in Bitcoin Lightning. And I strongly believe that if we stick to the roadmap and we're able to resurrect this coin and we're able to roll out this technologies of block logic and to be able to do exactly what Lee is proposing, the value will come up tremendously. Now, we talked about a number of different numbers on our committee call on Sunday. First off, Lee, we don't talk about fiat at all. Number one, for compliance reasons. Number two, I strongly believe that we all need to change our terminology. You know, we're rolling in a new economy, and it's so easy, including for myself, to get caught up in the old ways of thinking of centralization. And we have to be very conscious of our speech as well. If we're going to move into a new economy that's going to be digital, I don't think we should do it justice by continually comparing it to fiat and continuing using fiat as a benchmark. So right now I can say that Bitcoin block logic for a master node right now is 0.01 Bitcoin. Now, that essentially is where our value comes in, actually, believe it or not, because there's going to be the average IT person to go build a node. It's going to, by the time they actually build the machinery, they put behind a chip of RAM, a chip of processor, another hard drive space, their expertise, and they sit around and they spend their energy building these nodes. It's just not worth it for them for 0.01. And so that's kind of where our value is actually for 10 Bitcoin, we can go build 100 nodes really fast because we have a bot that does it. But my point of this discussion is that the value of block logic, in my opinion, could easily go 100x, I believe. But let me turn it over to you, Lee, and tell me what you think.
So we've been talking about that a lot. So we've been looking at the new coin specs and where we're going to be with that. And we're probably looking at 100 million coins after the swap. So at 10 cents a coin, which is where we want to go initially, we'd be at about a $10 million market cap. So we're really relating I know it's hard to not talking fiat right there.
It is, I know, and I'm not trying to word copy. I'm just saying that
we're trying to be realistic and what the technology is realistically worth and what the technology will look like. So I think once it gets rolled out, and when you take the fact that almost every one of these masternode currencies are in the exact same position Bitcoin Lightning is, struggling for adoption, struggling for a cause. If we start getting these masternode currencies to adopt the technology and we start getting licensing fees, you're absolutely right. We could see a lot larger valuation than that. So that is the goal. You know, the biggest risk right now is keeping the team together. That is the number one risk. But you know, we've got plans in place for that, and not too many people understand the idea of what we're trying to do with the IPFS. And when people do finally get it, they react like you react. I'm on board. Let's do this. But it's understanding. It's bringing that understanding together. So we have a bit of an education process to go through. We got to talk to people and say, hey, we're doing this. This is why it works. And you can see it's not that easy to explain. It's a tough explanation. So we have that road ahead of us where we have to teach. Unfortunately, I'm a good teacher. So we will get out there and we will teach it. However, I do believe that once this catches on, we're going to see a lot of master node coins flock to us and ask to license this technology from us because it immediately gives them a reason for being.
So Lee, let me come back to the value question, because quite frankly, there's a lot of investors on this call that probably don't care about technology. They just want to say, you know what, I have an investment and I want to see my investment grow and I want to see it boom and I want it to, so what you're saying is that you expect when we go live with a new code base for it to be 5x what it is now in value. I do remember on Sunday, we also talked about it potentially going up to, and I'll just let you say, where do you see it going on launch, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months out? What's the compelling reason why investors on this call that have already put good hard-earned money behind this and are, want to stay in?
I would say that you have to look at the community. Number one, the technology. You have to believe in what we're doing. We were going to start our own coin. We were in the very, very close to starting our own coin, and this was literally dropped in my lap. And we really had to have a really deep conversation about whether or not we were going to take this technology and roll it out and give it to this coin. And it was a big decision between my wife and I. Should we really jump on this? And we decided to do it because we have the community. I think the community support is what you have to see. If David can show you anything, take a look at some of the screenshots from the community members and how passionate they are about the coin. So that to me is one of the things you want to look at for a masternode coin. Do you have people out there willing to work? And we have people out there who are willing to take this technology to real use. They want to go to hospitals with it, transport companies with it, gaming companies with it. So we have people in place to go to real world use. So I would say is you want to look at the technology, you want to look at the fact that we have people running out to real world use. We have tons of master node coins out there who are dying for purpose and being, and we are going to give them that purpose and being. And lastly, we got some very decent leadership. Our developer out of the UK is a very, very successful entrepreneur. Rick is a successful developer out of Philadelphia, and we got a Microsoft Azure project manager on board. So we have this really, really great team. So those are the things that I would consider why to stay in the coin. I also believe that going forward, master node coins are going to be the door for small and medium-sized businesses to move over to blockchain technology. It's going to be very, very difficult. I
agree with that.
So I think it's going to be very difficult for a small and I'm talking like small 10 million, $25 million organizations to go to, say, a Cardano and try to get a custom solution developed from Cardano. Whereas I have team members right now who are dying to go out and knock on hospital doors and sell them this IPFS technology. And you don't have a Cardano guy running around to a hospital. We have that. And that's because of the community. And that's the reason why I stayed with Bitcoin Lightning. When I first got out of my car and I heard this was going on, I was like, are you kidding me? They just dumped this on the community like this? But then I was sitting back, I said, how long would it take me to build this community? I would not be sitting here in front of David right now if I had started my own coin. It would be hundreds of emails, hundreds of contacts to hopefully even get to talk to David on a telephone or maybe even receive an email from him. But because of this, we have opened up this door. So it has been good both ways. I've been able to take this idea and bring it out to a much larger community, to people like yourselves, and at the same time protect my original investment. I did not buy at 6 to 13, but I did buy in the $2 to $3 range. So to me, this is a crash, and I don't have as many as you have, but I have a significant amount, and I generate a significant amount every day. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm here, and I believe in the project, I believe in my team, I believe in the community, and I'd stick around. On the flip side of it, is it worth selling at this point? At this point, I look at these things as lottery tickets at this point. And that's how I'm looking at it. Right now, work your ass off and try to recover this thing. And we've got technology, we've got a team, we've got a community. So I think it's worth hanging in there and seeing what happens over the next several months.
The interesting thing, I will throw out one fiat number for people that still think in fiat. This coin was worth $13.30 in January. And that was with, in my opinion, not nearly as good a team as we have now on the Block Logic, without a true purpose and without the leadership that I see in Lee and the underlying technology and the promise of what you've just laid out there. So thank you, Lee. Let's take questions, and if you could please have the questions mostly for Lee. I'm happy to answer any questions, of course, always am. I'm going to be back on Wednesday and Thursday and Monday, so there's always room for that. But if you have a question for Lee, please raise your hand in the chat. And then Herb, if you could chat on our participants. If you could, unmute people.
I don't see anybody raising their hand yet.
Okay.
I think y'all can unmute yourself, and then if you would mute yourself after you ask your question, I appreciate it.
Why don't you hit unmute all, Herb?
Okay, I can do that. Okay.
Okay. If there's nobody with a direct question, the two people that always seem to ask the best questions is Steve and Debbie, unless there's somebody else out there.
David, this is Jay. I have a question when appropriate.
Okay, please do. Hi, Jay.
So the question is for Lee, and I'm just curious if there are other people working on this platform need that you've described to be able to onboard specific opportunities into the blockchain.
So I think what you're asking me is, yes, we have other people involved. So I have another developer that we're onboarding right now who's specifically a C++ developer who's going to be doing the development of an open API. If you don't know what that is, it's an easy method for a company to pretty much attach their data to our system. So we are absolutely working on a very easy API that will allow a company to take their current database and swap it out for a decentralized database, which is another huge, huge opportunity that we're going to offer to any organization that wants to take advantage of blockchain. We'll be able to take their database, whatever they're using, and swap it out for a decentralized database.
If anybody doesn't know what an API is, it's basically an application programming interface. And exactly like he said, if you have a database that's written in one technology and in another company has a database and a different technology, it's simply the bridge that allows you to connect them together. There's Debbie. I love Debbie. And
I'm just, okay, I need to listen to this recording again.
Your laugh is precious. You guys have questions?
Yeah. This is really exciting though. But before you being talked about Bitcoin Lightning and, you know, if we're going to take out profits or if we're going to invest it in another coin, you know, I didn't even have to think about it. I was going to just put all the Lightning back in because I'm always thinking long term.
Yeah.
You know, we have other coins, the Stipend, the Bitcoin Lightning, you know, all we need is one to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate when you constantly bring up the long-term perspective, because I've always instilled from day one that I don't want a fly-by-night company. We've been in business, well, this business for 19 years, and this company for 24 years total I've been in business. But more importantly with crypto, I've seen so many things come and go, and I see the mindset of everybody's living in the moment and they want to turn and burn. You know, they're constantly jumping coins, they're constantly day trading, they're constantly jumping all these different platforms. I wanted to build something that truly was sustainable, that grows organically. That's why we're dumping the MLM. That's why we build things the way we do. You'll notice in the incubation period or the accumulation period, we did what we said we're going to do. We said we were going to compound for 90 days. We start with 18 nodes in block 2 for Bitcoin Lightning. We're up to 50, 53 or 54. We've tripled them. So again, it comes back to, you hit the head on a nail, the long term. That's how I see Block Logic. Block Logic isn't going to hit a home run tomorrow. They're going to basically be systematically rolling out something very valuable that all the other master coins need and be that layer. So it's going to take some time to gel. That's why we did 3-year contracts, 4 or 5 years contracts. We're dedicated to mine for you for years, because we might wake up 3 years from now and Block Logic might be off the chain. It might be like the top 50 coins or top 100 coins, and it may have a market cap of 100 million. And we may wake up one day and be like, oh my God, we have millions of coins, because we've been devoted to mining every single day.
I agree. And I think, can you share my screen for a second? I want to show you a chart that I show a lot of people.
Just hit share. It's the bottom in the bottom middle. It's a green button.
And, oh, share, okay.
And then choose one of your screens.
Okay.
Yeah, we see it.
All right. Do you see that sheet there? The
Yeah.
psychology of a market cycle?
Yep.
So this, to me, really comes back from the days of the dot-com boom and bust. And I was right in the middle of that. And I literally sold the intellectual property I sold to Microsoft months before the dot-com bubble burst. But I also did a really huge mistake. I sold my Google, I sold my Amazon, I sold everything at the moment. And I called it done. I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I sold my information to Microsoft. I thought I was doing great, and I sold everything. And then, yes, the internet bubble burst. And I think we are in this exact same situation right now. And we are probably somewhere down here between anger and depression. And hopefully,
I'm close to depression sort of some days.
but this is really where I think we are. And, you know,
So true.
then I think when you come to here, this is the interesting part. This is the disbelief. This is when it starts to recover. And as well as I did during the dot-com area, if I would have just held some of those stocks that I was so hastily to get rid of, I'd be extremely well off right now. But because when it was coming down, I got into this anxiety, denial, panic, and I sold. You know, I got out really, really quick. I should have just held. So I keep telling a lot of people this joke. I don't know if you've ever heard this joke, but there's a priest. He's in a church. And he's got a huge flock of very, very poor parishioners. And every night he prays, please, please, God, just let me win the lottery. If you let me win the lottery, I'll take care of my people. It goes on for 20 years, and he prays every night, nothing. On the 20th year, he prays the same prayer, and a big booming voice comes out from heaven and says, hey, meet me halfway and buy a lottery ticket. And I tell that joke because you have to be in it. You have to be in it to win it. And I agree with, I don't know, I'm not too sure, Steve, your wife, but I agree. You know, you don't need many of these to hit in order to do extremely well. And I think at this point, we have a lot of people who have been hurt really bad, like all of us in here have been. We're down here in the anger and depression level. And this is the time, very similar to the dot-com time, when we have to stick this out and come out of this rally here and then work the technology and build over the next several years. We're not going to see this run up again in crypto, but we will see a nice, steady growth cycle out of here because the technology is real. And as the technology merges with mainstream technology and technologies like IPFS, we're going to see this technology be as important or more important than internet technology back in the day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think right now it's very disturbing. The cryptocurrency market has come down so much, but I have been steadfast from day one in knowing that every IT person I know, guy, girl, I don't care where they're from, what part of the world, they're all excited about crypto. They're all devoted to building all these technologies that are going to be used in the blockchain and everything else. It's not going away. Not only is it not going away, but eventually there's going to be that convergence or transformation. And it's driven by the great mind. The IT guys, they're not going to settle for just letting it fizzle out. We're still methodically behind the scenes building and building and building and building and creating that platform. So when the public is ready and when the stars align and with all the different technologies that are moving in that direction, it's going to be a tsunami wave into it. And I don't know what the trigger point will be. I don't know if it's going to be tyrannical governments are going to push us into it, if it's going to be an economic collapse that's pending. You take a look at the congressmen out there that are talking about the bubble in the market, stock market, the bubble in the real estate market. There's so many bubbles out there. I don't know what will trigger it. All I do know is that we are behind the scenes building the future, and we are all early adopters. And like Debbie said, eventually one of these will click and it will boom. And I think all of them collectively will also boom. You watch the past couple of days. The past couple of days when Bitcoin came up, everything came up.
Yep. And it's still going up.
Yeah, it's been nice.
I got a question for Lee. Lee, thank you for your time. It's been very, very educational for us. The one question I have for you, this is the first time I've heard of IPFS, Interplanetary File System. Is there a website
can't hear.
You can't hear.
Steve, sorry, I had to mute everybody. I muted everybody and got you unmuted, so go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. Lee, I wanted to thank you for spending your time with us this afternoon. It was really educational stuff. I want to learn more about IPFS. This is the first time I've heard about it. So if you could share with us a website or someplace where we can go other than Wikipedia to find out more information about it, it'd be great. Oh, you put it in the chat.
An article I just recently wrote. And if you also look in that account, you can see some other articles I've written in the past about my disbelief in crypto, my comparisons to the .com era. But the second one is a very, very good introduction to IPFS, and it's taken from a non-technical point of view, and it should give you a really nice overview and what it's about from there.
That's really good.
Great. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Another thing, too, that's going to, I think, launch the coin is this whole team is going to reveal itself. I totally agree with David. This whole idea of being anonymous or these anonymous names is so foreign to me. I don't get it. So we are going to do a team reveal. We wanted to make sure that we were actually going to be able to pull this off. And now that we know we're pulling it off, we are going to do a team reveal. One of the things I've noticed about Masternode coins is that it's a vicious cycle of ups and downs depending upon your marketing cycle. So what we want to be able to do is create a consistent marketing plan where we're cycling every 2 weeks. We have something is starting, something is ending. So we don't have these big areas where there's gaps, and then you have these terrible price falls. So we've strategically laid out, when we're going to announce the teams, when we're going to do this and that and the other thing. So we have a strategic way to move the marketing cycle so it doesn't have these big falls in price. So we're very conscious of that. I think that's another area too. When I first started talking to the guys from Bitcoin Lightning, it became very evident to me they had no idea about economics, just the basics of economics. And they kept telling me about how they had their pre-mine. If you don't know what that is, every one of these coins mines a certain amount of coins to use, I guess, in the beginning management. Well, they had all their coins left. And I was like, well, what did you spend them on? They're like, nothing. We were too afraid to spend them and crash the price. And you look at their ideas are very simple when it comes to economics. I was like, well, why didn't you bring people on? Why didn't you start projects? Why didn't you bring on developers and pay developers with it? And they're like, well, that's a really good idea. And I was like, wow, why didn't you have that idea from day one? So I think we also bring to the table a lot of just basic common sense business and economic principles that a lot of these Masternode coins are severely lacking.
It's a very good point. And I've always said from day one that technology is driven by people. People don't buy technology on its own typically. They buy it from people. It's either recommended by someone, it's explained to them by someone who they trust. And so the people are very, very important. And, when I had said previously, I'm not sure what's going to trigger this, if it's going to be, a tyrant or whatever it is, we need to reach out to governments. And this is a very useful technology to be able to be the backbone for the records of governments. Dubai has already switched to the blockchain. Canada's talking about it. Finland's already done it. There's a number of different countries. In fact, Nevada, I think, has switched to the blockchain, as well as possibly Arizona. So it's a really, really good opportunity to become the backbone for our future governments. Because a government for the people, by the people is a beautiful thing. And when we are immersed and have partnerships at the governmental level, it just really legitimizes our future and our future economy. And so,
I see these Masternode coins going into the local governments. They're the ones who can go knock on the local government door and say, I can offer you that same solution at a competitive price.
See, that's the key. Some of these big coins, they're already have a market cap of $1 billion, $1 trillion. There's no human being behind it. There's no website. There's no strategy. There's no team behind it. This is why I love working with you guys. I'm going to love working with you guys because you have a mission. And again, it's going to take knocking on doors. It's going to take adoption. And I'm just really happy that you guys are pulling this together.
And the last thing I want to say is what I think is going to drive crypto market is I think the banks, my brother-in-law is a very large investor and hedge fund manager. And he tells me that every one of these banks and every one of these investors want to get in, but they are going to starve us until we are begging for mercy. They're going to drive this market as low as humanly possible to get as many people out because they don't want to make us rich. They don't want a whole new class of rich crypto people with these ideas of independence and decentralization and currency not backed by fiat or not backed by debt. So they don't want us to succeed. So they're going to hold us down for as long as they can. But I do think they are going to, BlackRock came out yesterday and said they're opening up a crypto desk. So I think we're going to see the money flood in once you have one, and also we have a Bitcoin ETF about to open. Once you see one of these large scale financial organizations decide to go all in, there will be a stampede into this. But as for right now, they're going to starve us. So this is the time that, you know, that chart I just showed you, the people who stayed there through the pain are very, very, very wealthy today and very, very successful. I kept 5 Amazon shares. I mean, what the hell was I thinking? That's who we are right now. And that's who I have an article on Reddit. If you follow that link, you can find it. It talks about just that. I'm not going to make that same mistake again. I'm not going to sell and run away just because the market sold off. And I do firmly believe that we're going to see these financial institutions rush into this space. And when that happens, it's going to launch. And it's just a matter of time. And we just need to be patient and we need to survive.
Well, you know, that's why I strongly believe that we're building something beautiful here. And this is why I love mining, because this is methodical, it's consistent, it's based on algorithms. Every day, you know, you see new coins coming to your platform. We're increasing our base, and why, you know, great minds like Lee and his team and everybody else are constantly building these technologies, improving their code base, pushing out towards adoption. Why we're waiting for John and Jane Smith, the general average user, to come on board. We're methodically building up our base of coins. We're increasing it every day, and eventually its value will also follow as well. And so I'm just really, 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 really happy about our future.
Yeah, we are
Anybody
too.
else? Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Debbie, Steve?
David, I just want to, you know, really thank you because, you know, while the market is, I mean, really going like this, you know, I've stopped day trading because of you. I'm fulfilled every day because I win. I'm winning. Lee, I've done the same thing. I panicked. I sold. And so I think we're all, everyone, I speak for everyone, probably we're at that place where we get it. We understand it. But the biggest thing is that you stop this from being an MLM. With that, I have more trust, not only in you, but in Syntropy. And I really feel like this is going to be my retirement account, that it's going to be there. Beautiful. And again, beautiful. The biggest thing is just trusting you. You never hype it up, David. You never do. And I never see you hesitating, thinking, how should I answer that? You've always been completely genuine and just honest. And so that's why I'm really excited about this. So without a doubt, I definitely was not going to turn this to Bitcoin. I'm going to keep compounding it. You know, and it's based truly, I mean, I'm going to be honest, is because I trust you. So I just want to thank you for your years that you put into this.
I am so humbled to hear that. I have goosebumps on my arm. I mean, I've said this many times, you know, when you build something and you work morning, noon, and night and weekends to build something and you have some appreciation, it's just the greatest feeling on the planet. And thank you for everything you're doing and being on board.
No, we can see your passion. I'm passionate about my volleyball club, and I can see that same passion, you know, of what you're doing. So I love seeing that.
You know, if Josh wants to join, I noticed Josh is on the call, and I just find Josh's input always to be so valuable, and he knows so much about markets. If he's willing to talk, do you have any question for Lee, Josh?
You know, I apologize. I had my video on and I had to take a call in between, so there's a gap that I missed. But you know, I'm excited that you guys are actually driving more with what you're doing on the Bitcoin Lightning side. And I just, you know, in terms of questions, I don't really have any at this point in time. That could very easily change. But I think it's great having. It's funny because I was looking up some of the Bitcoin Lightning. I guess one question I do have is, what is the difference between this Bitcoin Lightning and the other one that's out there? Because there's two different ones. One's like BITL something, and the other one's what we're talking about.
The Lightning Network.
Yeah, that's how I arrived here too. I thought I was getting in on the Lightning Network. You know, that's my fault, and that shows you that I did some poor due diligence on that one. That's how I did get involved. So one of the things that I told them at the beginning was I was not willing to work with them unless we changed the name, because going to law school and working in the intellectual property arena, I knew that the likelihood of confusion with that name was very, very high. And I really do believe in trademark, and I do believe in marketing. And I said, if we're going to create something, we can't try to constantly tell people, oh no, we're not that Bitcoin Lightning, we're this Bitcoin Lightning. And I wasn't going through that every day of my life. So that was one of my stipulations I made before coming on to the team and bringing the idea to them, was that we changed the name. And that's why we did it. That's a great question.
Block Logic is such a phenomenal name because it tells exactly what you do.
Yeah.
And also, if you Google it, there's nobody using the name yet, so we have the opportunity to establish a unique brand, which is very important.
It's simple, it's easy to use, easy to understand, and it tells exactly what the usage is. Anybody? How about Jay or Gene, Wilbert? Anybody else? Alta? If not, I guess we can probably end.
Just confirm my.
Gene?
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Hi, this is Jay. I just want to confirm I'm continuing with Bitcoin Lightning, or the Block Logic now. I really love that there is an idea now worth chasing, and appreciate all the effort to make it successful.
Thank you so much for the support, Jay. We really, really appreciate it.
Is it okay for me to be honest and say, I don't know what the heck you're talking about?
We love you, Wilbert.
You're on a good ride, Wilbert.
Just follow.
just follow us, Wilbert.
I'm going to create a very simple sheet to explain all this once the patent is filed in the next couple of days, and I'll get that to David so he can give that to you guys, so you can maybe get a little bit better handle on how the master nodes are going to mesh with the IPFS.
And that's one of the values of our platform. What we're doing is, again, and I said earlier, we're the bridge between these technologies and the average investor that's interested, wants to know more, or is just a busy person, doesn't really give a darn. But I really want to make a point and probably do a better job of educating people. And I really would love, if you're okay with it, Lee, maybe you come back on once a quarter or something, or maybe even more, maybe monthly. And I just really want to be able to really strongly be that bridge to convey to our investors, what's going on in Block Logic? Why are they doing this? Where are we in the roadmap? Are they delivering like they promised? Are they who are the early adopters? What are some of the good news that are out? So if you don't mind, I really would love to invite you back, Lee, and you've just been phenomenal in sharing this info. I really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'd love to come back. And thank you so much for having me today.
You got it. Anybody else have last minute questions, or everybody good? Been a great
Hey, David,
meeting.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
David, I just want to say I'm so proud of you for continuing to mine Bitcoin Lightning. This is James, and
Hey, James.
as it took a dump, such a hard position to be in, and you just kept mining it no matter what, and now it's turned from chicken. It's just going to turn around. So this has been a great call. I'm super proud of you for sticking to your guns on the model. That's awesome. So great job.
Thanks so much for the feedback, James. James has been with us literally from day one, and we initially found Bitcoin Lightning, and it was kind of alluded to the Lightning Network, and at some point James was the one that actually found that, and he's right. There's been a rocky road with Bitcoin Lightning. Just to be really honest, when we saw the crash of the coin go down literally to zero. Here we are with a tremendous investment, number one. Then we have all these machinery behind it, our network, our team, our development. You've seen our code base. We wrote all that code strictly for Bitcoin Lightning, for bots to be able to build nodes, to move coins from to move coins from one block into the, from a block to from the nodes to the block and the blocks to the customer. We have such a commitment to our customers, who we've done under a 3-year contract with, to say, you know what? We're committed to you for mining for the long haul, regardless if this coin goes to the moon or goes under. We're still going to mine for you. And so I appreciate you, James, bringing that up and really emphasizing the reality behind it, that we're not going anywhere anytime soon. We're doubling down. And I don't give a darn what happens in the marketplace. We're here, and we're keeping our commitments. But again, I'm really excited when you know, and actually it was Herb that put the research in because I'm so busy developing. He's like, have you seen Bitcoin Lightning soon lately? Have you been back on the phone? I haven't talked to him in a month. Yeah, I haven't seen it. And he goes, you need to get on there. And when he brought all this new news and information to me, and I turned on, you know, to you, Lee, and found out what's going on, I cannot tell you how excited I am, because all that effort, all that machinery, our team, our development, everything we put behind it, really is poised to hit the moon now, because we've got a great team like you guys. So, Lee, thank you for taking the reins, taking over this project, and James, great for jumping in. Thank you.
And I appreciate your support and all of your investor support, and also you becoming part of our team, because the more people we have, the better off we're going to be.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Okay.
All right.
I appreciate you guys joining us, and good to see you, James.
Thanks, Herb, for moderating.
Okay.
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to do is really quick. I'm going to give you the link to our new Bitcoin Twitter account.
Okay.
And that way you can start. We haven't tweeted out on it yet. We're trying to get a bunch of people on it before we start tweeting on it. So
And I'll tell you what, Lee, of course, we're going to be in constant contact because now I'm part of your team, but we're going to probably do some real concise updates from BlockLogic. And I would like to be able to, at least monthly, be that conduit between the team with BlockLogic and our platform, and really just share everything that's going on.
Perfect. At the end of every one of our meetings, we always do a synopsis, and that's probably a great place. And you're part of those meetings now, so it's a great place for you to start and then explain out the synopsis in more detail.
Great. All righty. Well,
okay. Thank you again for the time. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful week, and onwards and upwards.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, everybody. Have a wonderful evening wherever you